Rebecca, welcome to today's Q&A session. We're talking all about Mount Kilimanjaro today. So if you're here because you want to talk about Meghan Markle twerking during labor and delivery, that's not what we're talking about tonight, but I would love to talk about that with you. So come on a trip with me and we'll talk about that as we're hiking down the trail. But I've been getting a ton of questions about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And so I thought I would just come on and do a quick little Kilimanjaro info session, Q&A session, open up the floor to anyone who has questions about climbing Kilimanjaro with me and Hike Like a Woman. Or, maybe you don't want to climb Kilimanjaro with us here at Hike Like a Woman, but you want to climb with another group. That is totally cool, because I think what I'm going to say today will hopefully help you for a Kilimanjaro climb, regardless of who you're climbing Kilimanjaro with. So welcome. Thanks for joining me tonight. I know that your time is precious and I appreciate you taking time out to hang out with me tonight. So I will try to make this as brief as possible, but still be able to make sure that I answer all of your questions. I see Naomi out there. Naomi and I actually, we have a hike together scheduled. So that's exciting. Naomi's joining us for our climb this year. So this is great information if you're going this year with us, if you're going to go in 2026 with us, or whatever. But hi, welcome. If we haven't met yet, my name's Rebecca. I started Hike Like a Woman about a decade ago. I was just looking for a way to get outside and hike with my kids, and my mommy blog about hiking called Hike Like a Woman evolved into leading women on really epic outdoor adventures. So welcome if we haven't met before. I'm stoked that you're here. I also want to, the little heart there means that I really want to make sure that you know that this is a safe space and that Hike Like a Woman is a safe space, about as safe as it can be on the internet. And so if you have a question that you want to have me answer and you're not comfortable dropping it in the chat, by all means, please reach out to me. You can DM me on any of the socials or find me, Rebecca at hikelikeawoman.com, hi at hikelikeawoman.com. Naomi's my virtual assistant, or not Naomi. I have a virtual assistant who monitors that email account, and we'll take care of you there. And also, if you're comfortable in the chat right now and you have questions about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, go ahead and drop any of those questions into the chat. Or maybe if you have something that you're just curious about climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, go ahead and drop that in the chat. I will say that I'm going to not look at the chat box right now while I'm just going through and talking to you about climbing Kilimanjaro and the route and gear and all that stuff. But I will check and respond to the chat box here in about 20 to 30 minutes after I get through talking about the route. So thanks so much for being here. I think we are ready to dive right in. If I can figure out how to move my slide forward. There we go. I found it. Okay. Before any of us starts out on any big adventure, especially something like Kilimanjaro or the Salcantay Trail in Peru, I personally think that it's really important to figure out your why. And if you're joining us for a Kilimanjaro climb, I would encourage you to spend a little bit of time thinking about your why. And when we know our why, I think it helps us to really push through those difficult moments that we can encounter on big, huge adventures like this. I will personally say that my why for climbing Kilimanjaro last June of 2024, was because I just wanted to see what my body could do after going through breast cancer and breast cancer treatment 2 years earlier. I just wanted to show myself that I was still capable of doing something hard physically. And so my why was about like regaining control of myself and my body after cancer. This year, I'm climbing again in 2025. Obviously, it's 2025. In August, I'm climbing Kilimanjaro again, and my why has completely shifted. My first why was kind of this cancer recovery. My why this year is I really want to connect on a better level, a deeper level, with the people, with the customs, and with the culture. So I'm going back now, really wanting to just learn as much as I possibly can about Tanzania and customs. I've been taking Swahili classes, and I'm terrible at languages, and I'm not doing very well learning Swahili, but I'm really trying to make an effort. So my why this year is really about cultural community connection. Um, and I think that why is really important. So if you're here and you're interested in climbing Kilimanjaro, I would love if you maybe type in the chat, if you're comfortable doing so, what is your why for wanting to climb Kilimanjaro? Is it because it's a really big mountain and it's there and you want to stand on the roof of Africa? Is it because you want a story to tell? Maybe you want to make your children or your partner really proud of you because they can see you doing something really hard. You want to set that example for your children or for your grandchildren. Maybe you want a challenge. Maybe you just want to see if you can make it to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. Maybe you want to inspire your friends to go on big adventures. Um, Maybe you just want to go to Africa. That's super cool. Maybe you want to experience a new culture, new language, new foods. All of those reasons for wanting to climb Kilimanjaro are valid and they're important. So I think it's just important to establish that why up front. The other why that I think is important to talk about here is why you should why you should climb Kilimanjaro with me here at Hike Like a Woman. There are a few things that I think that we do differently. I do have an assistant who helps out around the behind the scenes, but here at Hike Like a Woman, I am very careful about making sure that we vet our Kilimanjaro guides. Climbing Kilimanjaro is very regulated, and most of the guiding companies on Kilimanjaro, from what I saw, were pretty decent. But there are some guides on Kilimanjaro that are illegally climbing the mountain and not doing so ethically. And so we just take a lot of time thinking about and vetting our guiding companies. And I've actually spent a lot of time with the guides that we're using again this year and really building those relationships. John was our head guide last year, and he's just become a dear friend to me over the past year as we've communicated to get ready for this year's climb. Another thing that makes Hike Like a Woman trips a little bit different, especially Kilimanjaro, is that we just have a lot of fun. So if you are someone who maybe wants a lot of um, quietness and solitude when you're climbing Kilimanjaro, then we're probably not the group for you, because there's a lot of singing and dancing and storytelling and jokes. If you've been checking out our social media lately, you know that there's kind of a vibe on Kilimanjaro with our group. We saw a lot of kind of very serious and focused climbers on Kilimanjaro, and that was great. That's how they wanted to climb the mountain. We had a lot of fun, and last year there was a group of guys from France, and we kind of just kept passing each other on the trail. And at camps, they would be camped on a different area at the campsite, and so we got to be good friends with that group of Frenchmen, because they were dancing and laughing and having so much fun on the climb too. So it was like the energy of our groups matched each other, and that was really cool to see. They had a ton of fun on Kilimanjaro, and they had a very high success rate. We had a ton of fun, and we also had a very high success rate. So we kind of bring the party. The other thing that I think makes us a little unique here at Hike Like a Woman is I try to be with you every step of the way, from the moment that you book a Kilimanjaro trip or any trip with us, all the way until after the trip. We do that through support through our Slack group. I also give you my phone number so you can call, text me anytime. We have training programs, gear guides, all of these things, because I want you to make sure that when you come to Kilimanjaro with us, you already feel like you know everybody on the climb before you even arrive in Moshi. That building that community before, during, and after the trip is really, really important to me. So there's a lot of awesome groups out there leading women's climbs up Kilimanjaro, and many of them do many of these things. But that's kind of our vibe here at Hike Like a Woman. And if you've been following us for a while, you know that's our vibe, and we have a ton of fun. I do want to talk a little bit about the route that I like on Mount Kilimanjaro. We always choose the 7-day Machame route. If you're considering climbing Kilimanjaro and you might want to go with a different group or a different guiding company, that's awesome. I would just caution you to not go on any Kilimanjaro climb that is less than 7 days. There is a 6-day Machame route option, and it's miserable. That just like they have, if you do a 6-day option, your success rate or your summit rate goes down from 85% to 70%. And it's just really, really hard. You have to cover a lot of difficult terrain before you even get to Barafu, which is the base camp before the summit. And then you have to go back down to your camp. So it is brutal. We do the 7-day Machame route, and I'm going to just break it down day by day. But if you look at my slides here, I don't have a pointer, but you can see kind of in the center of your screen over to one side, you'll see Machame Camp. That's our camp the very first night. We start underneath, like you can't see the map, but we head north to Machame Camp. And then we go up here to Shira Camp. We cross over the Shira Plateau and we go over to Lava Tower. Then we come down to Karanga Camp and then Barafu. And then we go up to Aruhu Peak, which is the true summit of Mount Kilimanjaro. And then we go back down to Millennium Camp and then the Mweka Gate. I'll break this down for you, but I just wanted to give you a little overview of what the route kind of looks like. It's good to see the topography and some of the terrain. So the very first day we start here in the rainforest. You can see this beautiful, lush green rainforest. This is a day when we walk uphill for, 6 miles, and we just go up through this beautiful, gorgeous through this gorgeous rainforest. Day 2 is a bit of a longer hike day, and you can see the terrain is starting to change as we come out of the rainforest and into the moorland. Day 3 brings us above timberline, and you can see the summit of Kilimanjaro in the background. So as we come out of the rainforest, which makes this route really cool, as we come out of the rainforest, actually from the camp the first night, you can barely see Kilimanjaro, but as we walk, we get closer and closer and closer to the summit. And that is like one beautiful thing about this route. So day 3 brings us up and over to Lava Tower. Day 4 is the famous Barranco Wall. There you can see us scaling the Barranco Wall with the porters. That's super fun day. Day 5 takes us up to Barafu, which is our base camp. So that is another climb. You know, as we get higher, we're really exposed. There's a lot of sun. But it gets cooler too as we get higher in elevation. Day 5 is where we get to our final base camp, Barafu. We get there a little after lunch. We eat lunch, and then the guides instantly put us to bed and tell us to take naps. They wake us up for dinner, and they brief us on the climb, and then they put us back to bed, and then we wake up around 10 or 11 p.m., and that's when we started our summit push. So you basically walk uphill from midnight until the sun comes out. And by the time the sun comes out, I don't have a picture of the summit, but as the sun rises, you're getting closer and closer to the summit. And then you reach the summit shortly after sunrise, take a few pictures, but you're at 19,000 feet. So guides do not like to hang out there very often because it just increases the risk of altitude sickness. You reach the summit and you head back down. You head back down to Barafu. You spend a few hours eating lunch, changing into some dry clothes, and then you start walking back down to our final camp. And then you end hiking through the rainforest to Mweka Gate. The overall distance of Kilimanjaro is not that big. I mean, I think it's only, what does it say? I can barely see that. I actually just got glasses because I'm getting old, but what is it? Like 35 miles or so. But the elevation gain is significant. When I was looking at Kilimanjaro, I was like, 35 miles, I can do that in 2 days, no problem. But I think 1 Kilimanjaro mile is equivalent to 3 like standard hiking miles here in the US. So don't let the small distances fool you. This is still quite the athletic feat. One of the reasons that I chose the Machame route is because it really follows the mountaineering principle of climb high and sleep low. during most of the days, we actually climb high and then we come back down to camp, and then we climb higher and then we come back down to camp. And it doesn't, like, when you're on the mountain and it's the altitude is so high and your brain is like, what is going on? It doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense from a acclimation perspective. When we're up high, we're generating all those extra red blood cells. And then when we come back down, we can sleep better and allow our bodies can rest and recover and then continue to build that oxygen. I'm not an exercise scientist, but anyway, climb high, sleep low. That is why I think the Machame route is one of the best routes on Kilimanjaro. The guides and porters call it the whiskey route because it goes down like a shot of whiskey. The other route that's very popular is the Limosho route. That's called the Coca-Cola route. It's a little bit more gentle, but really the Limosho route meets up with the Machame route at Lava Towers, so day 3 of hiking. And really, you follow the same. You stay in the same campsites. So only the first 3 days are different. Limosho route, I think, is beautiful, and it also has quite a high success rate as far as summiting goes. I just like the Machame route because I love going through the rainforest, and I love the climb high, sleep low principle. I think it really does help have a higher success rate on Mount Kilimanjaro. Let me see if I missed anything. I don't think I missed anything about the route specifically, but if you have questions, feel free to pop them in and I will answer your questions about the route. So we are going to be doing this climb. So we're climbing in August. And like I said, we just had a couple cancellations. So if you're like, I'm in really good shape and I'm ready to go to Kilimanjaro now, let me know and we can get you ready. We can get you on this year's trip. But I actually think it's good to book the trip and give yourself time to study the route, time to figure out what gear you want and what gear you need on the trail, time to really make sure you're booking your tickets and you're not like rushed making all of those decisions. You have to get a visa to enter Tanzania. That can take some time. So I would recommend climbing with us in 2026. We're actually going to be, the dates of that trip are September 21st through the 29th, 2026. The reason that we're doing it the last week in September is because John, my guide, told me that his favorite time to climb is in October, and I wanted to do a full moon summit. We didn't do a full moon summit in 2024. We're not doing one this year, but in 2026, we are going to do a full moon summit. And I think that's going to be pretty incredible. I remember on summit night, we're walking up this hill, we're following all the headlamps in front of us, but I was a little confused because I just kept seeing these bright lights everywhere, and it was stars. It was gorgeous, gorgeous stars that were just, it felt like we were walking through the stars, and that was so neat. And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen and what a full moon summit is going to feel like. And we won't do a full moon on the summit, although that could be funny too. But anyway, that's kind of why I chose those dates. Basically, this slide just tells you what's included and what's not included on the climb. Basically, you just have to show up in Moshi and we will take care of you. We will take care of everything. You just got to get to the Moshi airport and we'll make sure you get to the hotel. We're going to stay at a luxury hotel the first night and the last night. The hotel will have lockers and safes where you can store your passport or money or anything you don't want on the trail. And then any clothes for like you're traveling or whatever. And then we'll start our climb. And when we're climbing, all you carry is a day pack with 3 liters of water, any extra layers you might need, sunscreen, bugs. Well, you don't really need bug spray, sunscreen. Basically, like you carry a day pack. The porters hoist up all of your other gear on their heads and carry it to the next camp. When you arrive in camp, everything is ready to go. Your tent is set up, your gear's in your tent. There's hot chocolate and cookies and popcorn waiting for you for happy hour. And so you don't really have to think about anything other than taking care of your personal hygiene, changing your clothes, changing your socks, and taking care of yourself. The guides do it, and porters take care of everything. What's not covered with the cost of climbing Kilimanjaro are things like tips, hotels if you want to fly in or fly in early or stay late. We don't cover like your visa. It's $100 to get a single or a multiple entry visa to Tanzania. If you're a U.S. citizen, we have to get multiple entry, even if we're just doing one trip. Vaccinations, you may need some vaccinations depending on what your doctor says. So I kind of budgeted like $2,900 for the trip itself, maybe $1,000 to $1,800 for your plane ticket, any travel things, and then another $1,000 for tips, gear you might need, visas, vaccinations, all of those things. It is an investment to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. And so I just want to be really upfront that it is an expensive trip. However, this is a once in a lifetime bucket list adventure. And I came out of cancer thinking, I'm just going to do all the adventures because I just feel like we don't know what the future is going to bring. So I was the kind of person who just kept putting things off and thinking I'll do that when I'm retired or whatever. But I don't know. I stick to a very strict budget, and so that my family can go on big adventures. And that's kind of a personal value of mine, is adventure. We also have the option this year of doing a pre-trip safari. So in 2026, if you're interested, we're going to do safari. And the safari is going to be 3 days before the climb itself starts. Doing a safari, or if you're able to go into Tanzania a few days early, is a great way to acclimate. It gives your luggage time to catch up with you if you lose your luggage along the way. It's also just kind of a great opportunity to come off the stress of traveling, because it is a long trip to get to Tanzania. There's a lot of stress. You don't want to just get off the airplane and have a day to sleep and then start your climb. The more time you can give yourself, the better. But of course, it's more expensive to go in early, and you might have to miss a little more work, all those things. But we did decide to offer a pre-trip safari this year, if that interests you. So I'm really excited. I didn't do safari last year and I regretted it. This year I'm going early to do a safari, and I'm super excited. And I better see some hippos or I'm going to be really mad. Now this is the time where I can answer questions, or I'll just maybe go through some of the questions that I've been getting lately. And then if you have any questions, I'll hop in the chat here too, and I can answer whatever questions you may have in the chat. So we do offer a lot of support. As I said before, I want to be there with you from the time you book your trip until well after your trip ends. In fact, this past week, as we were kind of reliving our climb in 2024, a bunch of us got on a text thread and we were like, when can we go backpacking? So those friendships that we make on the mountain really stay with us. So once you book a trip with us, we have a group Slack channel, and that's the place where we communicate with everyone's talking right now in our Slack channel. Everybody's talking about gear and training, and they're sharing pictures of their hikes, so that we try to build community within that Slack group. We also do check-in calls every couple of months, just to touch base, to say hi and answer any questions people have. So just a little Google Meet. And I also make sure that everybody on every trip has my personal phone number, so you can drunk dial me day or night and I'll get back to you the next day. So I'm there for you. As far as training goes, we do provide a training plan to help you get ready for Kilimanjaro, and there's just a lot of support there. So a lot of encouragement. You don't have to be an elite athlete to climb Kilimanjaro. I think a reasonable level of fitness is fine, but you do need to make sure you have time to train. And Another question I get is like, hey, Rebecca, can I even do Kilimanjaro? It seems so daunting and so scary. And if you watch YouTube, you'll see all these people that are like, I almost died on Kilimanjaro. Well, that's clickbait. I think that if you are in reasonable shape and if you stay healthy, of course you can do Kilimanjaro. I did it less than 2 years after finishing cancer treatment. So if I could do it, you can do it. As far as gear goes, I share packing lists, recommended items. I just try to make myself available to talk about gear. Logistics, we're there for you to figure out if sometimes we want to coordinate flights. If there's someone who's coming from a area where you live, maybe you can meet up in an airport and know who that person is. Once you get to Moshi, we make sure that you know how to meet the guides. Communication is also really important. I mentioned our Slack group, but also there's really good Wi-Fi at the hotel. There's Wi-Fi at some of the camps on Kilimanjaro. It's wild. We were at one of the camps and I got a message from my husband and it was a video from my kids in a talent show. And I was like, what? So I got to watch my kids in a talent show at Karanga Camp, which was really cool. Another thing that we're doing this year with our climb is I'm going to have a Garmin InReach with me and I'm going to set up a link. So if you have family, friends, spouses, partners, anyone who wants to be following your route on Kilimanjaro, I'm going to just provide updates on that InReach and I'll share that link so that they can follow along and know where you are. So I'm going to provide that. And then my husband is going to be back here in Wyoming, kind of playing, helping to coordinate if there's people have questions or concerns or whatever. My husband's going to help relay that information to me and to our guides in Moshi. So we are kind of setting up a little bit of a phone tree. And I think that's important too. Once again, that's just like an extra thing that we're doing that I don't think a lot of other groups do. We get a ton of questions about the altitude. And we talked about how important that climb high, sleep low part of the trip is. Our guides will constantly say pole pole to us, which means slowly, slowly. We do not move fast on Kilimanjaro. If you're zipping up your coat too fast, they'll tell you to slow down. If you're walking too fast, they'll tell you to slow down. Going slowly is really an important part of that acclimation. And then there's a lot of Diamox is an incredible prescription drug to help prevent and treat altitude sickness. There's been a lot of research studies too about using ibuprofen to treat and prevent altitude sickness, which is fascinating. And I'm going to dive into some of the science there about altitude sickness. But I mean, no one feels awesome at 19,000 feet. You're going to feel a little bit drunk, maybe a little bit hungover, and that's okay. It's when altitude sickness becomes severe that we really, really worry. And our guides are really prepared to treat altitude sickness and even signs of mild altitude sickness. They'll get you down the mountain before you even know what's up. If you start to get sick, they will instantly bring you down. And we always make sure that we use a guiding company that carries oxygen. That's really, really important. And that kind of leads into safety. Our guides are certified, trained, they're equipped to take care of us. They make sure that they have really good safety procedures in camp as far as treating water, making sure that they're washing hands when they're cooking and preparing our food. They have oxygen, they have med kits. They're ready to take care of us on the mountain if the need arises. And then we get also some questions about like the culture, learning Swahili. I've got a great Swahili teacher. I'm happy to pass along her information. And tipping is a huge part of Kilimanjaro. And also, we are bringing some gear for our guides this year. They are in need of some backpacks, some rain gear, and some Nalgene water bottles. So it's just building those relationships are really, really, really cool. And I love climbing Kilimanjaro. There's me with John on the summit. It's just a really special mountain, and it's so empowering to stand on the summit, knowing that you got there with your own body, the strength of your own body. It's so empowering. It's just really beautiful. So that is my spiel on climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. We are opening up our booking for our 2026 trip. That is open. I can't share the link here, but I will share it in the comments. And but yeah, go check it out. Okay, I'm going to pop into the questions here. I see some good questions. So I'm going to just scroll back to all the questions and read those. If you have any other questions, feel free to type them in. I just ate dinner before I came over to my office to record this. And the longer I take, the more likely it is that the dishes are going to be done when I go back over to the house. So I'm happy to stay here all night answering questions. Yeah, yeah, Vanessa's excited to join the trek. Jennifer, oh, didn't make it to the summit, only to the top. Yeah, need a do-over. Yes, yes, you do. You know, it's so much more than the summit. Um, it is, it's really just like, even if you don't make it to the summit, it's still such an incredible, incredible experience. Vanessa always wanted to go to South Africa. Yeah, I'd like to go to South Africa too. Naomi, personal achievement. I can do it. This is a good question from Naomi. How should we label our checked luggage so it will find us once we are there? I would say maybe like a sticker, something that is identifiable, so that it's very obvious that it's your luggage. The Moshi airport actually isn't that huge, and you have to get off the plane and you have to walk outside to get off the plane. It's not like a gate. Well, I mean, it is a gate, but you have to get off the plane, exit, and then you go into the airport, and there's a customs desk. So you have to go through customs and show them your visa, show them your passport, and then the luggage was right outside on a carousel. And yeah, it was pretty easy to navigate through customs, and it's only going to be one flight landing at a time too. So it's not like massive, stressful, chaotic. It's also very safe. I felt very safe at the Moshi airport compared to other airports that I've been to around the world. Yeah, Catherine, the booking platform changed for 2026. Did the guiding company also shift? Yes, the guiding company shifted. However, a lot of the guides on Kilimanjaro are freelancers. So they might guide for one company and then go guide for another company, and then go guide for another company. So what I'm doing this August when I go back is I'm going to talk to the guides that we're going to be using next year. And then I'm going to talk to my guides on the mountain, and I'm going to say, hey, we're going to be back in September 2026. And can you come and guide for this company? All the guides and porters, all the guides on Kilimanjaro know each other. John's been guiding on Kili for like 25 years. And so I think that it'll be a different guiding company, same policies, procedures. But I'm hoping to use I'm hoping we get to some of the same guides. But yeah, I was really bummed because I liked the guides we're using, but I needed to switch companies that I'm leading trips through. What if it is lost? Oh, your luggage. If it's lost, we'll just file a claim. Last year, a girl lost her luggage, and the guides and porters actually brought it out to her like on day 2. A porter just carried her suitcase up the mountain for her. But we will have a lot of extra clothing and gear between the 20 women on the climb this year. And we were able to take care of her with all of our extra clothing and gear. There's also rental gear. So if your luggage does get lost, it'll show up eventually, hopefully. And if not, we'll make sure you're taken care of. But I would recommend in your checked baggage that you have the boots or shoes that you plan on climbing with. You don't want to borrow someone's shoes or boots. That's like really, really important. So I'm going to take my boots and my running shoes because I'm going to hike in both on the plane with me. So that is kind of think about, is there anything essential that if your luggage is lost, is there anything essential that you need to put in your carry-on for yourself for your climb? Yeah. Um, let's see. Catherine's excited. Awesome. I'm excited too. So excited. Okay. Well, I think that's all the questions that I'm seeing. If I missed something, just let me know. And once again, I'm here, happy to help. Booking is open, so head to our website, hikelikewoman.com. I'll go and update that link right now. And I hope to see you all on Kilimanjaro. And please reach out if there's anything I can do for you, any questions that I can answer, even if you're not climbing with Hike Like a Woman. So thanks so much. Have a fantastic evening, and I'll catch you all on the next live stream. Bye.